Hi, I'm Hayley. I'm Ben's mom, and we're here to talk about my beautiful boy.
Hi, welcome to Room to Grieve podcast. We're your hosts, Karen and Bec. Grab yourself a cuppa, find a comfortable spot, and we'll journey through grief together.
Hello, Hayley. So nice to finally speak to you. I know we've been texting for quite a while on and off, and really looking forward to hearing all about Ben.
I'm glad. I'm looking forward to talking about him as well.
Good. Right, where do you want to start, Hayley?
So Ben was 13 when he died, which is no age.
No.
So going back to Ben's first symptoms, all he had was headaches. It was, and I'll never forget it, it was the end of February, when the kids are off school on the holidays.
Yeah.
And I decided to take him badminton. Ben was always fit, healthy, happy kid. He run rings round me. And we was playing badminton and everything, and he was just tired. And I thought, it's not like him. And he went, I need to sit down. I need to sit down. I'm like, come on, you'll be all right. Come on. And it's only now looking back that's when the symptoms started. I didn't have a clue then, not a clue. Then it was the headaches and being tired at school. We took him to the doctors. They said there's nothing wrong with him. We even took him to the hospital. They said there was nothing wrong with him. And then he went on a trip with school. And it was the first one he went on overnight with his mates. It was a big thing for me as a parent to let him go. And he also was he was sleepwalking, and it's not something he never used to do. But even then, never thought anything of it. It's only now that you think it all,
Is that a sign then? Is that a symptom?
I've never heard of sleepwalking.
Yeah, I have heard a few parents say when they've had children that's had a brain tumor, they did have problems with sleepwalking.
Wow.
But we didn't know that at the point. We didn't know that, and I was trying to buy things off the internet, like bells for his feet, because I was paranoid that when he
Right.
went on this trip, it would wander off, because he suffered that bad, and it was very fast. He'd wake up and he'd be roaming around the house, and he never had no inkling of what he was doing. So he went on his school trip, and I was really proud of him. I was like, God, I'm finally letting go the apron strings, finally letting him go a little bit. And he went, and I've still got all his messages, and I messaged him and saying, have a lovely time, have a great, enjoy it with your mates, and he went, I will, and off he went. And then I think it was for like 2 nights. So the first night, it wasn't too bad. And he was having headaches then, because I sent him with paracetamol. And I just thought, well, he'll be with his mates and he'll be fine. He'll, if he's ill, he'll get over it, fresh air. He was enjoying himself. And then Aid rung me, and he says, I've got to go and pick Ben up. He's not well. I says, all right, okay. So, they come back, and he looked terrible. He just looked really tired, and he was sleepy, really sleepy. And I went, right, we're going back to the hospital. So we went back to the hospital. We had to wait 6.5 hours to be seen. And Ben was sleepy, really sleepy. And we finally got seen. And the only thing she said to us was, oh, is his blood pressure normally this low? I'm like, how am I meant to know that? How am I meant to know what his blood pressure's meant to be? So I said, I don't know. And he goes, well, we'll keep him in for observations, just in case. And they put us on a ward. Now, Ben was being sick, headaches, and because Ben wasn't ticking all the boxes for a brain tumor, I mean, we didn't even know then, Ben wasn't consistent with having headaches just in the mornings. It was different times. So they obviously ruled it out. They obviously thought, oh no, it can't be. When we was on a ward, left us there for 2 days. Ben was sleepy. And I said, look, what's happening? And she's like, well, we know we've tested him for COVID, tested him for this, tested him for that, and done his blood tests and everything. Everything's come back fine. And I'm like, well, he's really not very well. And they're like, well, can't find anything wrong with him. So, and I said, well, shall we just take him home? Instead of being stuck in the ward. Yeah, you might as well take him home. So I was trying to get his shoes on, and Ben was like, just out of it. And they didn't seem concerned. And then all of a sudden, he had a seizure. And by God, I have never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
I was terrified. Me and Aid was terrified. I mean, he was all stiff and it was horrific. And then they sent him for a CT scan. And that's when they found the lesion. I didn't know what a lesion was. Didn't have a clue.
No, you don't.
We
No.
asked the same question.
And I'm like, well, what's one of them? Is it a bleed on the brain? And they wouldn't tell me anything. So, and then we got blue lighted over to Birmingham's Children's Hospital. Ben was having seizures all the way there, on and off. I was in the hospital and I felt sorry for my husband because he was having to drive behind the ambulance and I was worried for him as well. And we got there, it's middle of the night. We'd been at the hospital all day, well, a couple of days. And Ben was having worse symptoms. Seizures were getting worse, longer. And I was forever ringing the bell. And I'm like, I says it's scary. I says, what you doing? What help me, please.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was booked in to have an operation to release the fluid from his brain. They had to bring it forward because Ben was in a really bad way. And then they did a biopsy while they drained the fluid. Now, when they drained the fluid, Ben, came back from that really well. And, as a parent, I thought that it was okay after that.
Yeah.
I thought he was all right.
You do?
Because he was like back to his old self.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, just the same. We had to wait. And then he recovered really quickly over that. And then we had to wait for the results. And I'll never forget that because Ben was at home. Now we don't have much family and friends. So Aid said, look, I'll go on my own. You stop with Ben at home. He says, and I'll go. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you should. And now thinking back, how much pressure I put on my husband to go there on his own to get those results.
He didn't know.
But the guilt.
What would you have done with Ben?
I know.
It's not. If it's not that you'd be feeling guilty for, it'd be something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I live with every day. The guilt.
Yeah.
We've spoken to so many parents who were told to take their children. I was told to take Bradley with me. And honestly, that's awful because
I can tell you now, my husband and I both, I learned on my own. My husband wasn't there. And because they asked if I wanted the results in front of Emily, and she said she wanted to be in the meeting. And the consultant looked at me as if to say, she shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So I couldn't wait for Rob to get there, Hayley. I said, I need to know. And I went and I had the results on my own.
Yeah.
So there's no good way to get them results, Hayley, whether you're together or on your own. There is no good way.
They told me and my husband together, and they gave us no more than 3 minutes before then they said, we're bringing Bradley in the room now. So we had no time to compose ourselves before they sat Bradley down and then told him and his brother. So then that was just like, how do you suddenly parent and deal with this shit at the same time?
Yeah.
So please don't feel guilty about that, because I genuinely don't think there is a right way or a wrong way.
No, there isn't.
Well, I'm very good at avoiding. I don't cope with head-on things. I just don't.
No, I don't blame you.
So because Aid was such a long time, I thought maybe it's okay, because I'm sure he would have come back a lot sooner. I was cleaning and scrubbing, and I was praying to God. I was going, please let it be good news. Please don't let anything happen to him, please.
Did you have an inkling of what was wrong? Had they mentioned, cancer or mortality rates? Had they mentioned any of that to you?
No, not until
it was still just a lesion at this point that you didn't really understand what that meant.
Basically we didn't know what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be hopeful. So when Aid come back, and I'll never forget it, I avoided him, and he kept going like that, and I thought, I'm not following him in the kitchen. No way.
Yeah.
I don't want to know, and I didn't want to know. And he just said to Ben, he just said, Ben, they've found something, but you're gonna need some treatment for it, And when Ben went, oh God, why? And Aid was doing the eyes, and I thought, no, I don't want to know. Anyway, I went upstairs and he followed me and he told me. And he says, it's not good, Hayley. And I thought, I fell to my knees in the bedroom, never forget it. And he says, he's got 6 to 9 months. I went, no. And do you know what I did? I went out in my car and drove round screaming and crying and screaming and crying. And I didn't know what to. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was in shock, and I left my husband at home with Ben. They were terrified because they didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
And Ben, Aid kept texting me. He went, Hayley, you must come home. Ben's terrified. He's worried about you. And then it all kicked off from there. Really, we had to have 6 weeks of radiotherapy. We went in, but they don't tell you. They don't tell you everything, do they? They don't tell you.
Was Ben's tumour in his brainstem?
So Ben had a diffuse thalmatic glioma. So it was stage 4 straight away. It was a death sentence straight away.
Yeah.
And I've only asked questions now because I couldn't cope knowing what it was for months and months. I couldn't even say the word cancer. I couldn't say it. It wouldn't come out my mouth.
I
couldn't
still
say it. Yeah. And when I talk to people and say Ben's died, I'm like, am I really saying that? Am I really saying them words? So I didn't know anything about cancer, didn't know anything about brain tumours. So yeah, we went for the radiotherapy for 6 weeks, and it made him very tired. And I found I struggled with that because Ben was so active. I just wanted him to get over it, and I'm like, come on, Ben, I wanted him back to his old self. I wanted my son back. And he was different. And then he used to, he was having swelling on the brain from the radiotherapy. And I think as a parent, it's like, is it the tumour or is it the radiotherapy that's making we're constantly on the phone. I mean, I get anxious anyway. And to have all this as well, I was like 100 mile an hour on my anxiety. But I think as well, you get to see the signs of when things aren't going right. And I'll never forget, Ben was sat in the chair and he just looked blank at me. And I thought, something's not right. I says, Edward, we need to get back to the hospital. We need to get back down there. So got him in the car, and he was in and out of like consciousness. And I thought, oh God, what's going on? What's going on? And you've always got that sick feeling,
Yeah.
the trauma of it. I can see it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And we got there, and Ben, I mean, I'm 5'2", I'm only little, and Ben towered over me. So we got him out the car, and he collapsed, and there was nobody about. Aid couldn't hold him, and I had to go and look for a stranger. And I was going, help me. I says, my son's collapsed, help me. So we managed to find somebody. You do anything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when Ben started on steroids.
Okay.
I tell you what, they just totally changed Ben.
Yeah. The evil.
In the beginning, it was good. And then,
Oh, you think they're a miracle drug,
yeah,
don't you? You think, oh my
yeah,
God, why haven't they put them on these before? Why
yes,
hasn't it been on them from day one?
yeah. And we
Yeah,
even said, why wasn't he? Yeah. Now I can see why now,
yeah,
because Ben is physically and mentally, and the way he looked just changed.
yeah.
Yeah.
He got irritable. I mean, Ben was such a soft, sweet lad, and he used to say to me, I'm feeling a bit irritable today, Mum, so I am sorry.
Oh,
And I went, you don't have to be. And he says, I'm feeling angry today. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just, it's the steroids. And Ben never asked what he had. He never asked anything. And we didn't tell Ben. We told him that he got a lump in his head. Now, Ben was only 12 when he got diagnosed. So we didn't think it was the right thing for us as a family to
No.
tell Ben. Now,
yeah.
Ben's oncologist didn't agree. She wanted us to tell Ben. And we were like,
That's no problem.
no, I'm not telling Ben. I'm not telling him. I'm not telling him he's got the worst tumour there is and he's going to die. No, I'm not. So we didn't.
Mm.
And he was going through all that. And he said to me, he went, Mum, I was washing up, and he went, Mum, he says, have I got cancer? And I looked at him and I went, yeah, you have. And he didn't ask anything else. He never looked it up, nothing. And there was one thing that really, really upset me now. Ben was watching, he loved Breaking Bad, loved it. He loved watching that. And there was all kinds of things he used to watch. And he said to me, oh, there's a chap on the telly, Mum, and he's got a brain tumour. He says, but it's stage 4. He says, God, I'm so glad I ain't got that. And I looked at him, and he was looking at me, like trying to read my face.
Yeah.
And he went, Mum, he says, what, it's not like I'm going to die, is it? And I went, no. And you know what, right? I go to counselling, and that really got me, because I felt like I'd lied to him.
Yeah.
But I did it for a reason. But now
Of
I think,
course you did.
and I went,
What good would
no.
it have done, Hayley? Is that age, you just don't want him to be scared. You just
No.
want to, just what time he's got left.
Yeah.
Why does he have to be scared as well?
Yeah. I mean, we were told to make memories. We were terrified as a family. And I hated going to that hospital. I hated going in that bloody room, the Senja, to talk, and it's all serious. And I mean, every time we had to go in there, there was always a cancer nurse, like a teenage cancer nurse that would look after Ben and play games with him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when we had to talk about the serious stuff, me and Aid went in on our own, and then we'd bring Ben in afterwards.
Yeah.
And she would just talk to him and say, how are you, Ben? And he'd go, yeah. And he loved it. He He loved Shivani, Ben's oncologist. He absolutely loved her. So he had his radiotherapy, and it ended in June. Anyway, after that, we started. She said to us, do your holidays. He went to the Queen Elizabeth to have his radiotherapy. And on the last day, we were told, they were going to do Star Wars themed. They was all going to dress up and everything like that. Now we knew, as mum and dad, we knew that the radiotherapy wasn't going to do much. And me selfishly thought, why is he having all this fuss? Because he's finished radiotherapy, it's not going to do anything. But Aid said to me, look, Hayley, it's not about you. It's about Ben. And he's done something very brave. He's had to have this mesh stretched over his face. He had to be bolted to the table. He was really brave, and he says he deserves,
a bit of force.
Yeah. And I went, yeah, you're right. I was just thinking, I don't know why they're doing all this because the outcome's shit. We had a lot of support. We raised quite a bit of money and we went to Disneyland Paris. We went to London because he loved Lego. We went to Legoland and all that. And yeah, people are like, oh, that's great. But it wasn't.
No.
Because I wasn't taking Ben. I was taking a very sick, poorly child.
Yeah.
He was in a wheelchair. He just wanted to sleep. He didn't want to go on the rides. He didn't want to walk. And it was a constant, have we got enough steroids? What if he gets ill?
Yeah.
He didn't enjoy it. And I'd be crying. I cried every holiday we went to. I'd be crying in a towel in the bathroom, trying not to let Ben see that. So we did make memories, but they weren't memories that I remember. Like they're just painful, and he couldn't enjoy himself. And the last holiday we went on was Mallorca. And he was very, very, very swollen with the steroids. And he was aware of it. He had stretch marks.
The stretch marks were horrific.
Yeah.
Steroid stretch marks are another level, aren't they?
Well, you know what? I mean, Ben was just starting to come into his teenage years, so he liked his privacy. And that broke my heart because I shouldn't have to help him in the bath and get him out and dry him because he couldn't do it himself because he'd go dizzy.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there and massage the cream in his legs, But we laughed. We did laugh. And I had to do that. I had to make it very light-hearted. And you'd stand there in the nud and you'd go, this is weird. It's weird, this is. And like, oh, come on, and we did laugh about it because we had a couple of months where that's what we had to do. I mean, he got sick of me, because I followed him to the toilet. He'd go, Mum. I'm like, what? He'd go, shut the door, I'm on the toilet. And I'm like, are you all right? I was obsessed. He'd be asleep and I'd be there in his face, kissing him all the time. And he'd go, Mum, stop it. Mum, leave me. I'm like, just another kiss, another hug. We went, like I said, we went on holiday and I took my oldest with us as well. Ben idolised him. He looked up to him. He wanted everything that Wesley's got. And that's how we saw his future. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted a house like Wesley. He wanted to have children. And because Ben didn't know how poorly he was, Ben would talk about the future.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
Yeah.
because we'd be in the car when he'd say, no, Dad, when I do my driving lessons and things, what type of car do you think I'll have?
Yeah.
And me and Aid knew, we just knew that's never going to happen.
Yeah. Did your eldest know? Had you told him?
Yeah. He knew, yeah. And he was amazing. Wesley was great. He really was. He took him out. We did everything. Everything Ben wanted, Ben got. Ben went to the best restaurants. Ben ate steak. Ben had anything he asked for, he got. Yeah, it was difficult to do, but that's what we had to do. We needed him smiling every day. We needed him happy every day. Because if he knew what was going to happen, we just couldn't let that happen. So we went on our holiday. We went to Mallorca, and obviously with a wheelchair. But I did notice Ben was using his wheelchair a lot more, and every time he stood up, he was having a lot of swelling, like what's the word? He'd get quite dizzy, and the headaches. And I mean, Ben was on morphine as well. I mean, we took everything with us. So we got back on the 10th of October from our holiday, and then it was 10 days later, Ben died. He didn't really enjoy his holiday.
No.
He tried. He did try, and we tried to get him in the pool, and he just wanted to eat because of the steroids. That's all he wanted to do, just eat. And that's the only way we could coax him to anywhere. Would say, oh, there's a nice restaurant or anything like that, and he'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll go. But apart from that, he didn't want to do anything else. We got back on holiday from our holiday, and we back a couple of days, and Aid had ordered him loads of toys to come with us. So he loved Amazon. He loved having his toys. And Ben would sit on his phone, look through what he wanted, send it all to his dad. And Aid's like, yeah, you're having them. Yeah. So by the time we got home, Ben had something to look forward to. And it was like Christmas Day, every day for Ben. And then it was in the middle of the night. See, we had Ben in bed with us from the day we found out Ben got cancer. I'm like, right, he's in bed with us. So we got Ben's old bed into our room. Aid slept in that, the little single bed, and me and Ben in the big bed. Oh, he loved it. He moved all his toys in. Yeah, we had figures in the bed, anything he wanted. I just thought if he's in his own room and something happened, I won't sleep.
No.
I'll be listening. If I know he's next to me, I can just look at him and know and feel him and see if he's okay. So yeah, he woke me up and he went, Mum, what? He says, my headache's really bad. I says, right, okay. Because Ben did say that quite a bit. So I went and got the morphine, and it didn't really do a lot. He says, it's really bad, Mum, it's really bad. So off we went to the hospital again. They was waiting for us, got there, and Ben was in and out of that consciousness again that we'd seen before. And I just thought, massive high dose of steroids again, because that's what they've done in the past, and it has worked. Weren't doing anything this time. And I have got trauma. Oh, what we had to go through. They put us on a ward. We were just left with youngsters to look after Ben. They didn't have a clue. They left us. Ben was now very sleepy. Very sleepy. And I didn't know Ben was going to die. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything. I just thought, the steroids, I was like, I don't know. I just never thought it would happen.
Yeah.
They did give him a massive dose of steroids, but they never told us anything else. So they just left us. Now, Ben at this point was very sleepy. He couldn't go to the toilet or anything. So he was left and we had to clean him up. We had to throw the wet towels on the floor. The care was shocking. And I noticed Ben was having fluids. I noticed there was a big white patch come up on his arm. And I thought, oh, what's that? So, run out to the desk, I said, you need to come and look at this. I said, there's something wrong with his arm. They came over and they're like, oh, I don't know. I mean, what do you mean you don't know? Oh, we don't know what that is. We'll have to call the doctor, but there's no doctor on call. So we might have to wait. So we can't take the needle out because the doctor has to do it. So we have to leave it as it is. Right, okay. So that was hours that went past. Now, in between, Ben was having temperatures. And I'd say, why is Ben hot, very hot, but he's got cold feet? Oh, we don't know.
They didn't even know that.
No. So,
My God.
and we noticed Ben wasn't having any medication for ages. So I went back to the desk and I went mad. I says, look, you're not looking after him. I says, I'm fuming. I went back into Ben's room. She followed me in. Now she was the head nurse for that night time. And she was arguing with us over Ben's bed, arguing. And she was crying. And Aid, my husband, he went, what are you crying for? And she says, well, looking how bad he is. I said, that stops. I said, don't argue over my son. I says, look how poorly he is. I says, and you've left him. I says, it's shocking. So she says, yeah, we'll sort it out. I says, you've left him and he's wet through. I says, we've had to clean him. He's a big lad. I says, I can't do it on my own. We had all the team in then, but it shouldn't have to be that way. They should have cared for him.
Yeah.
We had to have an oncologist cover for Ben's oncologist because it was the weekend. Now, I don't know if you know, but you just want somebody there that knows your child all the time, no matter what time, day. You just think they should be there because you don't see it as a job, do you? Because to them, it's a job. But to me, it's not. It's my boy. I need you. I needed her there. She wasn't because she doesn't work weekends. And I found that really hard to cope with. So anyway, we had this stand-in one. And she came in and she had normal clothes on. She never introduced herself. And she looked terrified. She walked around his bed and never spoke to me. And I said to her, I says, is he going to wake up? I says, he's really sleepy. And she went, oh no, this is it. I went, what do you mean? She goes, oh no, he won't wake up now. Well, I lost it. I was under a table screaming. I just wasn't a person. I was like some wild animal gone crazy. But the things you do are unbelievable. My husband just said to her, look, the best thing for you to do is leave because you're making it 10 times worse. Just leave. So she left. And I said to Wade, I never want to see that woman ever again. Ever again. In the meantime, we did have, because you get so much going on, don't you? You have different nurses and they say, oh, I'm so and so and I'm a special in so and so, and you don't take any of it in. I'm like, right, okay, yeah, that's fine. And we were told to go and have a look round Acorns. So we did, we looked round it, and Aid said to me coming back, he went, do you know what? I think we should get him in Acorns. He says, because I don't want.
Acorns? Is that a hospice?
Yeah, Acorns Children's Hospice. So, I mean, we had a look round it. It was beautiful. I mean, when you've been on a hospital ward, and then you look round now, it's, there's no competition really.
Yeah.
But why wasn't that prepared? Why hadn't you looked, why hadn't you been given the opportunity to look at acorns, like knowing
Prior
what
to
was
needing
coming?
to go in the
Yeah,
hospital, yeah.
it's very bad care, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and that's going to stay with us forever now.
Yeah,
And that's another traumatic event, because
yeah,
I still didn't think he was going to die. Still, no, I just couldn't accept it. Just couldn't, because he was there. I
yeah.
just couldn't. And, he was very sleepy. There was the odd time when he woke up, but not much. And all the care they did, they were fantastic. They would, I mean, if I said I wanted Ben facing the window, that's what Ben had. If I wanted Ben to have music, Ben had the music. If I wanted to bring the pets from home, that's what we did. That's what we did. So we had we was all in one room. And when they cleaned him, I did it all as well. I got involved. I'm his mom. That's
Mm,
what I'm gonna do. I did everything, and I
yeah,
wanted to be involved. And it was, I just did it. I didn't, I mean, I'd do it all again. I'd do it
Of
all
course.
again. No
Of
problem, I would.
course.
And then I'll never forget, Ben was, um, when they've got like that slough coming out and they can't clear the throat.
Yeah.
Nobody told us anything still. And I wish that somebody would be with us and say, this is what's going to happen.
yeah.
So it is expected, but don't worry, they're not suffering or any. This is what happens. We never got told anything like that. The bed was like in the corner for us. And as the time got on, we got closer and closer to the point. I was in Ben's bed with him. I was in there, and it was only in there a couple of days, and he died in the hospice on the 20th of October, 2023, 5 days before my birthday. And I couldn't look at him, I just couldn't cope. I just didn't deal with it at all. I just, when you hear stories that, a lovely send off and all that, it worked for us.
It's not like that. It's not like it is on the telly. We've said that.
Yeah.
We've
No,
said that.
it wasn't. I just was
No,
hysterical and on the floor and crying, and I says, I can't look at him. I can't look at him. And then my husband went into hero mode, and they had to, I'd had to pick his clothes out to dress him. And I says, and that's a bit I couldn't do. I couldn't do that. But Aid could. Aid picked his clothes out. And they said, we've got a lovely room. We've got a bedroom, a special bedroom. And I knew what that was. And they said, do you want to come and look? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Just come and have a look. It's really nice. It's music and everything. And I says, okay. This was a good couple of hours after. So I went in and I thought, it's cold. It's fucking freezing. He's not going to like it. He's not going to like it, and it's too cold. I mean, how silly to say things like that, but I says it's really cold in here. And that's where Ben stayed for a couple of days. It's never, ever, ever got any easier. If anything, it's got harder
Yeah.
for us. I mean, we just miss him every single day. But I don't cope very well. I don't do all that leaning in. I think I avoid it. I find it too painful.
Yeah.
Far too. And then once I start crying, I can't stop, to the point I get so worked up, I'm ill. I've got
Yeah.
headaches. I feel sick.
Mhm.
So I avoid it.
And people mistake that for coping, don't they?
Yeah, because they don't see what I'm like at home. Because I'm a hairdresser. I'm a mobile hairdresser. And even knowing what they know about Ben, they still say, "Oh, Happy New Year." Is it?
Yeah.
And they don't get it. We've lost a lot
No.
of family, a lot of friends over it. I've had family members not come to the funeral.
Oh, wow.
But it makes you so tough,
Yeah.
so hard. I've come very hard, and I don't care. I lived for Ben. I was a role model for Ben. I was the best mom, and I
Yeah.
wanted Ben to be the best person that he could be. He's
And
not
he was.
here.
Yeah.
He's not here. So it's like, why do I need to be a good person? Why do I need to be? Why I haven't got that role model in me anymore.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just angry, I'm bitter, I'm upset. Everything was about Ben. I lived for Ben. Everything we did was for Ben. And it's like,
Go.
I haven't got any children at home. Wesley's moved. Obviously, Wesley's 26. He's got his own children. I've got grandkids. But it's not Ben.
Yeah.
Ben was our youngest, our little boy. And we did everything together, the three of us. And so it's just me and Aid really around the house, and it's so quiet, and you don't, until you hit grief, you don't know how it's going to affect you.
No.
I think the one thing that got me was a supermarket.
Yeah. We say
Every
this a
time.
lot.
Every time.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I
Yeah.
couldn't go
Yeah.
down the pizza aisles.
Oh,
I mean, even now when I look at all the things that Ben liked,
Yeah.
pizzas and burgers and the
Yeah.
noodles and things. I just think Ben. I just think that's what Ben likes.
Emily died 3 weeks after Bradley, and I remember a couple of days after Emily died, Karen said something about going to the shop, and I was like,
Yeah.
don't, avoid it, get someone to deliver it. Do not enter a supermarket.
no,
It
I
is
didn't.
so
And then
triggering.
I opened the freezer door
Yeah.
and saw a pack of mozzarella dippers in our freezer and
Yeah.
just lay on the floor crying over with a packet of mozzarella dippers in my hand.
I still have breakfast cereal in our cupboard. Bradley was the only one that ate breakfast cereal. And I've still got a cupboard full of breakfast cereal. And Simon says to me, we could really do with the cupboard space. And I'm like, yeah, but the cereal stays. Like, no
All out
fucker's
of
going to
date.
eat it. It's so gone off. It'll be so stale. He died nearly 2 years ago. That cereal is way past being edible. But it will stay in the cupboard.
Yeah. Everything's like, I look for things in case, like a Lego figure's fell behind the settee or behind my bed. I look for things. I've gone through all his pockets in his clothes,
Yeah.
looking for something. It's like I'm
Yeah.
desperate to find something. I mean, I've got a picture of Ben standing on my landing in his karate outfit, and I stand there like, this is where Ben stood. This is what Ben did. This is Ben looked through this mirror. I mean, but I can't help it.
No,
Yeah.
you go a bit crazy, don't you, some
Yeah,
days? Yeah.
yeah. And if I get anything new, like say if we change the wallpaper, and I'm like, but Ben won't recognise this. Ben
Yeah.
wouldn't have seen this. If there's wallpaper that Ben's seen, I'm like, well, Ben knows that. If I buy something new, he's not going to recognise that. It's like moving on.
It becomes life after them, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I don't like that.
No.
That bothers me. We were in the garden. I love getting in the garden. And I said to Aid, I said, where's the garden table gone? He went, oh, I got rid of it. It was no good. Well, I just cried. I was like, that's where Ben sat. He had his meals there. The cat sat on there. And there was a wreck. And that was all over a garden table.
Yeah. I get it.
You know, it's all those little things, you know. I mean, in front of me, we've got boxes and boxes of Lego unopened that Ben never got to see.
We've got boxes in the loft that Bradley knew he had, but never got around to building, and it just feels wrong to build it. I know you've got Lego of Emily's, haven't you? That
Everywhere. We got, Emily was in, when the tumour came back and she had to have this emergency second lot of radiotherapy. We had 3 end of life discussions. They said she wouldn't be coming home. And she came home. And it was Christmas. And my friend Lynn, she made sure she had every Harry Potter Lego. She sat and did it. And unfortunately, because she couldn't go on holiday or anything again, she couldn't do a wish, a make-a-wish, which was to go to Japan to see the cherry blossom. They actually sent her Lego Titanic. And it was so sad because by then she was paralysed and she had no movement. And they sent her a great big box of Lego just to look at. But she had hope because, like Ben, we didn't tell her she was going. She knew she had cancer. She knew it was that she was never going to be cured, but it was treatable.
Yeah.
And that's what we kept saying.
Yeah.
She was on a trial drug. This trial drug takes months to work, Emily. We've got to carry on. We've got to have hope. And the Titanic was a hope to her that she would one day get to build it. But to us, it killed us seeing
Yeah.
it. It
Yeah.
absolutely killed us seeing that bloody Titanic. I've had to move it out of the room that I'm in now. It was actually there, and I've just said, please move that. And it's still sealed. Don't know what to do with it. Because I can't give it away to somebody.
Oh, no.
I can't. Well, I can't build it. I'll
No.
never be able to build it. Yeah, we've got to do what we've got to do, haven't we, Hayley? We've just got to... Anything that helps us to get through another day, it's got to be done.
Yeah. I mean, I've never done so much grief shopping. I'm on TikTok. I buy things all the time. And I think it's just for me to get away from my mind, just to fill it with rubbish, because that's the only way I can cope.
Right.
I can't have quiet. I can't deal with that. Even when I'm in the bath, I'm crying, and I have to say to Aid, you're going to have to come in and talk to me.
Right.
Or I tell you what I do. I put your podcasts on.
Right.
And that helps me.
Yeah.
Because you say it how it is, and I'm sat there and I'm going, yeah, I know that feeling. I know what they're thinking, and I know what they're going through because I'm going through it myself. And I wear his socks. I mean, if I could fit into his jumpers, I'd wear them, but my boobs are too big, so I won't. I can't wear them. But all his drawers and everything, they've all got his clothes in.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a mad moment every now and again, not very often, when I want to come in his room and I want to go for everything, and I will cry and cry and totally destroy myself and torture myself, but I have to do it.
Yeah.
It's not very often. Most of the time I walk past his room, I can't look in it. But there are times when I'm like, right, I've got to go in, and I get everything out, and I'm touching things and stroking things and patting things and holding his clothes and smelling them. And I'm like, hey, why
Yeah.
did I wash everything? Why does everything smell of bloody comfort? Ben didn't have a smell anyway because he was only 12, so he didn't really use aftershaves and things like that.
Yeah.
So I haven't really got that memory of aftershaves or things like that. But I always talk about Ben. Always.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to be talked about. That
Of
our
course he
children need to
does.
be taught. Yeah.
Any opportunity. Yeah.
We don't stay here for Christmas because it was Ben's favourite month was Christmas. He was a kid. He loved presents. And we struggle with that. So we go away.
Yeah.
And we always take a stone because I know you paint stones, don't you? Your
Yeah.
pebbles.
Yeah.
I can be fine 1 minute and next minute, that's it.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
can be, anything. A plant, grass, walks, anything will just
Yeah.
set me off. And I don't care who sees me because I've cried in supermarkets and people have come up to me. I'd only gone to the toilet and I'm sobbing. And I'm like, oh, are you okay? And I'm, no, and it just, the waves of emotion and the pain
Yeah.
it
Physical
causes. Oh,
pain.
my
Yeah.
stomach. I still
Yeah.
can't look at photos of Ben without being punched in the stomach every time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
You don't
so
expect it to be
painful.
physical in terms of like, I remember Karen and I texting at each other in the beginning, being like, "It hurts to walk up the stairs." I like
Yeah,
genuinely felt like you've been hit by a bus, and it was like, why is it so physical?
yeah, it is. I couldn't get up the stairs. I was dragging myself on the banister.
I
Felt
remember
like,
Karen texting me saying that you'd basically crawled up the stairs one night
I
because it
go up
was
on my
like,
hands and knees some
yeah,
days.
yeah, it's like
yeah,
you're walking in treacle.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I have
yeah.
nightmares over Ben. I have
Oh,
nightmares. And it's all about um how I'm feeling. They're never nice memories. They're always, you know, Ben being poorly in my nightmares.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I had it, normally you'd wake up and be relieved, wouldn't you? But then it's another nightmare on top of that because they're not here.
I used to do that.
And that's another thing with the counselling. I used to think she was going to fix me. I used to think go for counselling, great, she's going to fix me, she's going to stop this pain, she's going to help me. No, no,
No.
I don't feel any different. It's, I suppose the way she says it's a safe space to let it all out. And me
Yeah.
and my husband, we go together as a couple,
That's
and
good.
then my husband will go on his own, and then I'll go on my own. Because sometimes when you go as a couple, you worry about upsetting the other
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
if you bring something up that they don't really know about, or they don't know that you're thinking that.
Yeah.
Or you worry about, just like for me with my husband, I worry about triggering him.
That's it. Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that to him today that I feel like this because he seems to
yeah,
be doing really well. And,
yeah,
I don't want to bring him down because,
yeah.
he's been down for ages and he's coping. And so then you hold everything in because you don't want to hurt someone else.
That's
And
it.
it's
Yeah,
hard to see
Yeah.
them in that amount of pain too, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
definitely.
you know how you feel yourself,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you think if they're feeling as bad as me, I don't
yeah.
want to make them worse.
And it's
No,
that whole, you know yourself that nobody can fix you and you don't want this fixing. But when you sit, for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you, like when I see Simon and my other kids in pain over it, my motherly instinct is to want to make them better.
yeah,
And then I know I can't because I know there's no fixing this. And then that feels incredibly hard, and then it comes back on me again. So then it becomes a choice of, well, let's just not say anything, because let's not enter this vicious circle, because if we don't start it, I haven't got to stay in it. And it's
yeah.
hard, isn't it?
Well, because my eldest has moved out, there was a time where I was in a really bad way. And he just happened to ring me up and he went, Mum, you all right? He rings me up every day.
Bless him.
And I went, no, Wes. I was crying. I says, I'm in a bad way. I says, if I ever get cancer, I says, I don't want to be cured. I says, I don't want to be here. I want to be gone.
Yeah.
And you know what? I never give a thought about how my son would feel over that. Never. I was so wrapped up in my own pain and guilt. I couldn't see anything else. Now, my son had to go for counselling over that. He said, do you know how that made me feel? He says, I was devastated that you said that. He went, you're my mum. He says, and I love you. I never give it a thought before. And I'm like, yeah, he loves me. You know, and I shouldn't have said that to him. I shouldn't have put him in that position.
But you can't help it.
No,
You can't.
no, I didn't want to be here.
Both of us have said that. Both of us have said that statement.
Yeah,
That
but when you're grieving, isn't it a lonely
it's
journey?
lonely, and you do become a little bit selfish in your thoughts.
Yeah,
you can't help it. You
No.
cannot help it.
And we're so close. We're so close. You know, he's a
Yeah.
great kid, and he's getting married in July. Yeah, it's a bittersweet. Everything we do is
Everything.
bittersweet.
Everything will be, from now onwards, everything will be bittersweet, but it doesn't mean to say you can't enjoy things again. It doesn't.
Will never be the same level of enjoyment as before.
No.
I don't think you will ever have that intensity of joy. If you think back to your happiest moment when the kids were here, I know for me, I will never ever feel that level of joy or contentment ever again.
No, I agree. No. And I have said that I'm a different person.
Yeah.
I am.
I think I'll have moments close to it.
Yeah, we will. We will have moments.
And we just have to live for those, right?
Yeah.
But don't you think when you are having a good day, I'm like, hold on a minute, Ben's not here.
Yeah.
And then it'll hit me.
Yourself that you've had a good day. Yeah.
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 It's so. Oh, you know.
You get to the end of the day and you think, I've really enjoyed that, and for the whole 2 hours that I was doing that, I didn't think of Bradley, and then the guilt is, how fucking cruel am I? Like,
yeah.
But it's not that I forgot. It's just that I didn't think of him. I didn't forget, and that's what I have to remind myself, that just because I'm not thinking about him doesn't mean I forgot.
No.
But that becomes very difficult, doesn't it, to reason with that with yourself?
Yeah, and I think as parents, we carry so much guilt anyway.
Yeah.
No matter what. I mean, I've been back to that hospital since Ben died. I'm like, did we do enough? Did we do enough? Did we go down every avenue? And she's like, Hayley, yes. You know, she says, I'm really sorry, but you know, Ben had one of the worst tumours she's seen in 30 years. And I'm like, but why? You know, was it my fault? Is it something that I did? I blamed myself at first. I was thinking maybe it's the microwave meals that I gave him, you know, for quickness sometimes, like you do. I blamed myself for ages and ages and ages and ages. And I looked into it and I thought, you know, why has he got it? Is it because he's gone on his Xbox too much? Is it the things that you listen to? And she said to me, no, we don't know. We don't know. And I'm like, but why? Why did you let my child die? Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the funeral and everything. I mean, that just as a blur to me. A blur. I had people messaging me afterwards and saying, what a lovely service. And I'm like, oh, didn't even know you went.
Yeah.
You'd be on automatic pilot, wouldn't you? Until then.
Yeah. And going to visit Ben, because we buried Ben. Reason being is, I mean, because he's got so many toys, we just buried him with all his toys. And he even had a little bit of aftershave in there. And the lady said, I've put a little bit of aftershave on him for you. I said, oh, that's really good. I'm glad about that, and I wanted him warm, and he's got his Jordans on. He loved his Jordan trainers, and, want him to be warm. And he's got a body warmer on, and he always used to mess with my engagement ring, and he used to say to me, "That's dirty, that is. You need to give that a clean." And he'd be always like touching it and stuff. And I said to Wade, he's having my engagement ring, and he's got it round his neck.
Oh,
And he's got a pillow in there with us on it.
Nice.
And he's got toys in there. That was very special to Ben. And I said, the way we're going, they're not going to be able to lift it up. He's got so much.
Need a crane.
He's got so much there with him. And that was important for me. I mean, I know people get cremated and things like that, but I thought, I don't think Ben would want that, because he wouldn't want his toys burnt.
Right.
And that was my way of thinking.
Yeah.
But then it's never a good thing, because, some people, like you said, it's nice to have him in the bedroom, and I haven't got that.
But we haven't got where to go and sit to them. So you've got that. You can go to the grave and you can talk to him and take him flowers or whatever, and just sit and chat.
I go there. I don't like going. Because I just look at the ground.
Because it makes it real.
It makes it real, and I know he's under there.
Yeah, you might change though, Hayley. You don't know.
And
in a few years' time, you might be so glad that you did that, and you might be able to go.
Yeah, I go. I keep it tidy. We've planted bulbs. They're all coming up.
Nice.
But I do it because I'm a mom, and I'm meant to keep it really nice. That's what moms do. I've got to keep. I want people to walk past and go, "He's loved."
Yeah.
He is so loved. Look what they're doing. Because I look at them. I look at different graves, and I go, "Oh, they really love that person. Look what they've got. They've got all those trinkets and things like that." So that's a big deal for me,
Of course it is. Yeah.
But once the grass started going over it, then I freaked out again.
Right.
Because I didn't like the grass on it, covering him up, because it was all solid. I didn't like that. It bothered me. Well, none of it. I don't like any of it, but
of course you don't.
It's something new to contend with. I mean, his friends, bless him, they come up and see Ben, and they came up, and they always do him a Christmas card. I can't do Ben a Christmas card because I can't. I can't. I can't write in it. I can't do it. Just can't do it. But they do, and it breaks me heart.
Yeah.
It breaks me heart because, they do drawings for him, and I keep them all. I take them home and keep them,
That's nice.
I mean, we haven't got a headstone for Ben yet, because I just don't know what to say on the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are, and I want to keep Ben's memory alive. And as you know, I'm one of the angel mums.
Yeah.
We do things for our children, and which is lovely, because they know, as you know.
Yeah.
We all know how it feels. And we get each other.
Yeah.
We understand each other's pain. We get that.
And it's really vital to the grieving process, I think, isn't it? Is to find people that do get what you're going through and do recognise your pain.
It's very lonely. And so, as you can see, I'm not struggling for words. I can talk, and I can
that's
tell
what
you
you've
so
got to
much
keep
more.
doing. Yeah, that's what you've got to keep doing, Hayley, and keep doing your stuff with your angel mums, climbing. Is it Snowdon that you climbed?
Oh, it took me. Do you know? It took me 12 hours.
Did it?
It took me 12 hours. I did.
Well, you did it.
I did it because I kept thinking, "Look, Ben, look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for you, Ben. Look at me."
Yeah.
Because I know he'd be so proud. We do Ben Fest every year, and we raise money for a different charity that have helped us.
Right. And what do you do at Ben Fest? What happens?
So we do we raise money for a charity. So last year it was Acorns. So this year we're doing Molly Ollie's Wishes. They helped us when Ben was poorly. They sent us to Legoland in London and paid
We
for it
went
all.
there.
Yeah,
That's what
Legoland.
Molly
Oh,
Hollis where they sent us.
oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're a lovely foundation, aren't they? Lovely
Yes, they are.
charity.
Yeah.
So we call it Benfest, yeah. So we have live bands, we do raffles.
Mm.
It's basically at a family pub, and she's known Ben. She's done fundraising for Ben when he was poorly, so it's very close to her heart. We just try and have a lovely family day. Oh, and it's all in memory of Ben.
And what date is that on, Hayley?
That's on July the 6th.
And what's the pub called?
It's called the Plough and Harrow. It's in Sutton Coldfields.
Right.
So, I mean, if everybody could come, it would be great. You know,
I think we've had some technical issues there, guys. So really sorry about that. But what I do want to say is, Hayley, thank you so much for joining us today. We've really, really appreciated you sharing Ben's story. We've really loved hearing all about Ben, and he honestly sounds such an amazing kid. There's so many similarities between what you guys went through and what Karen and I shared. What really came across for me in all of that, above everything else, was the love that you guys have between you. That is really evident. Um, you love Ben and he loved you, and the amazing connection that you had as a family really shines through, and you should be so proud of that. And you know, I know it's not enough, but I hope that you take some comfort in that we can all tell how much you all really loved each other.
yeah, that's lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah, that is, yeah, it was special. And I never took him for granted. Never. I just looked at him and thought, God, you're a wonderful kid, you are.
And I'm sure everyone will agree that there is so much in your story that we can all relate to, in what you went through, how you felt during that journey, and during your grief afterwards. So many of the things that you have said today, I found myself sitting here nodding and thinking, yeah, I get that. That's me. So I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for sharing, Ben. And please take care. And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.